Back with us now, Congressman Tim Burchett from House Foreign Affairs. It's good to have you on, sir. Okay, do we need a special counsel on this? Because emails that were being reported by Fox Digital indicate that President Biden did know about Hunter Biden's business deals, contradicting the president and the repeated denials there. The president wrote a college recommendation letter for the son of a Chinese executive who did business with Hunter Biden. So should a special counsel be appointed on this?
I think so, ma'am. I think we've got some serious security concerns. 10% for the big guy. He claims he didn't know anything about it, didn't know it wasn't any business dealings. And clearly these emails, I've seen 3 myself that are very clear in that.
And, you look at the emails and texts from Hunter's laptop, the many emails authenticated now by the Washington Post and the New York Times indicate that Biden did financially benefit. He did get money from Hunter Biden and potentially his overseas deals. They shared bank accounts. Hunter was complaining at one point about how he had to pay for everything. It was eating up half his salary. He was paying off Biden's debts and, the president's, before he came into office, his house expenses. Both of them had a lot of debt, both the president and Hunter. They had a lot of debt over the last decade or so.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hookers, everything else he's involved with. It's very well documented, his path. And to say that the president didn't know anything about it is just a complete hoax. And that's where I fear they're going to go back to the old, what we've been saying is that the president is not mentally cognizant of what's going on around him. And eventually the White House is going to have to say he's either a liar or he's not cognizant of what he did just several months ago.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I mean, this story is now moving fast. I mean, the president, though, he has said he knows nothing about Hunter's deals. Let's listen to what he has said. Watch this.
Every single solitary, serious investigator, including your network and others, have looked at this, have said there's absolutely zero basis to the accusation that I acted any way inappropriately or that my son did.
So you think that everything that happened was kosher?
There's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong. Nothing was unethical. I am not concerned about any accusations been made against him. It's used to get to me. I think it's kind of foul play, but look, it is what it is, and he's a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in pure intellectual capacity.
Okay, he was saying these things when the Justice Department had already launched a grand jury probe starting in December 2018, looking at potential tax violations by Hunter Biden, looking at potential violations of the foreign lobbying laws and potential money laundering connected to his overseas business deals and the use of shells, off-balance sheet shells, to bury the cash flows from China, Russia, and other countries. Your reaction to the president there?
I think the real question is going to be is how far back this influence peddling scheme went, and these 51 former intelligence officers alleged that wrote this public letter, and just how deep is the deep state, because the American public's not buying it. And you're exactly right. We need a special prosecutor brought in to go through all this, because this will get lost in Congress and it'll go straight down the partisan line. I think the American public is well aware of what's going on, and they're demanding answers.
The other question, too, a lot of people are now asking questions about this. How do we know really whether or not the president did make money off of Hunter Biden's deals? Because the president and the first lady, they made $13 million from their book deals. They put that income into off-balance sheet shells, these LLCs. There's no S corporation returns to look at to document or track where the money's coming from.
Again, a special prosecutor is the one who's going to have to go out and is going to have to request those and make official court filings on that, because the American public is demanding this, and to say that nothing went on is just a complete lie, and it's a hoax being played upon the American taxpayer, and they're sick of it because they know the Chinese are in bed with this White House, and they know how deep it goes, and we've just got to figure out the depth of this and the depth of the lies, because this influence peddling is a national security risk at the very least. And so, go ahead.
We also have a witness in the grand jury investigation into Hunter Biden who was asked to identify the, quote, big guy in that 2017 email Hunter was CC'd on, 10 held for the held by H for the big guy and Hunter's Chinese energy deal, that meaning then Vice President Biden. So we've got Senator Ron Johnson. He says Republicans do have more evidence on what Hunter was doing with his overseas dealings. So we'll be tracking that. Let's listen to Senator Grassley on this. Watch.
What I and Senator Johnson have done at this point is bring out the facts and the bank records that prove that there was a close relationship between Hunter Biden, maybe James Biden, and business people in China. What's concerning to us is there any sort of blackmail opportunity for China against the United States because of those close working relationships?
Now, Senator Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson in their Senate report 2020 brought up the issue of potential extortion. So your final word on that?
Well, Hunter arranged for Joe Biden, his wife Jill, and his brother Jim to have access to this office that Hunter's firm shared with this Chinese business partner. We know that. It's a documented fact. And for the president to lie and say that he had nothing to do with it, he never talked to anyone, is just a complete fallacy. We've got a national security risk. There's incredible implications for our country and our sovereignty. I think it needs to go to a special prosecutor and investigator and get to the bottom of it immediately.
Congressman Burchett, thanks for joining us. You'll come back again soon.